I think we missed an opportunity by not asking what year John Warogowski's bunk bed fell on top of Jerry Elliott.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, if you could definitively, say that, Jim, we could have put that question in there.
Well, I believe what you should say is, what did Jerry say when the second, story bunk fell on top of him with John Warogowski on it? And I think
John, get off me.
I can tell you exactly what he said.
John, get off me.
It was the bed right beside me. I know that.
Was that at Pilgrim Hills?
Yes.
No.
That was a record.
Those are record limited.
The
They
second
didn't
year
have
at
enough
RU.
bunks, and they brought in a bunk bed, but when they put it up, it was upside down. So the slats were on the bottom rather than the top. And
They were just tacked in.
Yep. Instead of holding something on, it was, we were worried for a few minutes until Jerry started talking.
Talking, yelling, you mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, he was pretty calm about it, really.
Get him off of me.
As a bonus trivia question, who had the most memorable orientation speech about cell phones?
I know.
Definitely Karen. Karen Saker.
Yes.
When her phone went off during her orientation speech.
Yeah. It rang and she said, "Whose is that?" And it was hers.
Unplanned.
Yes.
I brought a friend from Rochester with me named Wendy Hutcherson, and the classes got filled up. So she ended up in John Fark's advanced ASE class. And she said, I believe this was the conversation. She goes, "Am I going to die in this class?" And John said, "Probably, but you'll be happy when you do."
Only had one person injured badly all those years.
And it was you, right? Oh no, that was a different. That was slipping on the. Yeah.
Somebody tried to go over the meat grinder and she just wouldn't let go, and she dislocated her shoulder.
Oh.
The bad thing was she was a pitcher for their softball team.
Oh.
And it was that shoulder.
How about the year Susie Smithers commando crawled across the stage?
Why?
I don't even remember the skit, but she was like a commando, and she was probably, I don't know, middle 80s by then.
Was that at Pilgrim Hills?
No.
Oh, that would have been.
Are you on the stage?
Wow. I don't remember that.
Which year was the ongoing firefighter skit?
Jordan and.
Yeah, that was Jordan, Craig, and I, but that wasn't the year of the Man Scouts. So I think somewhere around 2014.
Was it post Man Scouts?
I think it was the year before the Man
Then it
Scouts.
was before that.
Yeah. We've since learned to do a lot more planning for what the Think Together opening skits are going to be, and don't just give us we'll eventually get to this, because I think that our Think Together sessions may have only been 15 minutes by the time we would do our opening sometimes.
Oh, wow,
Oh, that's
I think that's a picture of me that Pam has.
yeah. Wow.
Rare 10 picture. Guess the year.
Oh, my goodness. 08?
Yes, very good. Very good. And you just mentioned Susie Smithers. I've got a picture of Susie Smithers in her flapper outfit from 1984. And can you guess who that is sitting up behind her with his mouth open?
Can you get it a little closer? And no.
Is that Chuck?
No, it's you.
Oh, it's me. Okay, put it closer then.
Yeah. At least that's what I have written on the back of it.
It might be me.
says Major Bows, Dave Zeck. So I don't know what the theme was that night, but it must have been a good one.
What year was that?
1984. That was the first year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has anyone kept in contact with Karen Saker?
She texted me the other day. I think she's maybe trying to join on Saturday, but not confirmed.
Okay.
She's keeping busy with her church.
Okay.
How's Susie? Anybody heard from Susie? I was going to give Sarah a call the other day, and I ran out of time. See
Who was the gal we all sang happy birthday to with Vincent and Bill and I and Larry and John? We put her in the middle of us and we just hit these great bass notes that year. It was just so much fun to sing like that.
Was it Brenda?
I don't remember who the gal was that we were singing happy birthday to, but.
You remember, Bill?
No, afraid I don't.
I remember we got around somebody, and
I don't.
Seems like maybe it was Brenda, but I don't know.
Vincent came back to Black Hills, and Bill and I were there together a couple years ago when we got to sing again. And he's still doing great stuff in his community.
Great.
But I remember the first time we sang together at Buckeye, John was on one side, I think, and Tim was on the other side of Vincent, and you and I were in the front. We were circled around him, and after we'd finished singing, got to talking with John after that, and he said, well, about halfway through the song, he said, Vincent just kind of collapsed, so I held him up. Talked to Tim a little bit later, and he said, yeah, we were singing away, and Vincent just kind of collapsed, so I held him.
We had him pinched between us.
And Vincent said, John and Tim were holding me so tight I couldn't breathe.
Two magical songs was that time we sang that. Vincent led that song. We practiced it a couple times and then went out and sang that. That was just amazing. And then the other one was that time we sang, our cabin sang that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to House of the Rising Sun.
House of the Rising Sun.
That's happened a couple of times now.
Oh yeah, the people, but it's never as good as it was the first time, you know, because it just takes away the surprise. I remember looking over at Chuck singing, and the blood vessels were just popping out on his neck. He was just singing and loud as hard as he could.
I like
didn't happen with Chuck there often.
I like when we Christmas caroled, but we were uninformed as to the song sheet order that we were supposed to sing for. Was that 2019 or 2018?
19. I think that was 18 because I don't remember that.
So the guy's cabin just sang, "Oh Christmas tree, oh 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 Christmas tree," because it works eventually.
They were unaware of the pre-given list of non-religious winter songs to carol on the way to the lodge, I think is where we were at that year.
Life Center.
Life Center.
Do you remember the year that it snowed and the Florida people made a snowman?
Yeah.
Every year it snows and the Florida people are there, they make a snowman.
Well, this year they actually made a snowman. It was there the next morning yet. It hadn't melted completely. So.
And when they went out and they saw it was still there and it hadn't melted, they convinced one of the kitchen ladies to let them put it in a freezer that that was not in use at the time. And so it lived in the freezer for the rest of the week.
Oh my God.
I never knew that one.
I never knew that one either.
Do you remember the year at Pilgrim Hills, we all got sick, and like by the third day of the workshop, half the people were in bed?
That was 2019.
Yeah, also
the year of the massive puking was 2019. Yeah, the ginger ale.
Yeah.
Oh no. One of my favorite program nights that I didn't think would happen well, but actually turned out to be one that we actually used at our own camp was Smugglers and Spies in the fireplace room.
Yeah.
And I honestly had serious reservations because I could not see how all these people were going to pack into that one room for the most part, save the few that were, you know, going in and out. But it actually turned out to be a really fun program. And we did that with slight tweaking, you know, at 4-H camp.
We did that at Super Camp per some of our counselors' requests that were there for that night. And we did a tweaking of it too to modify it for 9 to 13-year-olds.
Yep.
But the hardest part was just to convince or get the staff on board of like, this is what's going to happen. Just trust us. It'll work. And they were all, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. And the 9 to 13-year-olds were great at it.
Yeah, they were very good. We smuggled jingle bells, like 1-inch jingle bells. It was marvelous. It was really cool.
We had graham crackers, marshmallow, and chocolate. There were 3 teams smuggling, and we were making s'mores.
Oh, jeez. That's cool.
Fake representations of each of the ingredients.
Oh, okay. You still made the s'mores, though, I bet.
Yes, we still had the s'mores after.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool on soup night when I had to have people roast a marshmallow. And so many of them have never roasted a marshmallow correctly before. They just always burned them. I said, you have to melt it so you can squish it down. Huh?
We had another station that we let Jack lead with a little bit of, actually the least bit of instruction on how the session was to be run, but we had a number 10 can of chocolate pudding, and that was their finger paints. And instead of doing finger painting, they dumped it all out onto the table and finger painted in it instead of with it. And it worked great, and people loved it, but it was rather sticky.
What was the theme or the game, or was it where we had the mice in the box, like going through the...
That was part of Smugglers and Spies.
Was it?
Okay. Yeah, that was part of the speaking.
Yeah.
Betting on it?
It was hilarious. Yeah, I remember that.
I remember a great debate over the fate of the mice when it was all over with.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I think they went home with Susan Cockmanner.
Probably.
I think so. Probably.
One year, Roland Russell brought to Pilgrim Hills a fellow who played guitar, and we found out during the course of the event, his band had a #1 record in the United States. How many of you remember that? Can you name the song? He was the guitarist for the band that sang Billy, Don't Be a Hero.
I do remember him because we were sitting down writing songs with him.
Totally cool guy, great guitarist.
Does anybody remember the year that there was a guy that found us online, so it's relatively recently, and came but wanted to bring his dog, and we were like, well, that's not normally how we do it, but he had his dog in a car the whole week, with, like, windows down in a kennel, and he would have 4 to 5ers every day of people just coming to come hang out with his dog.
Yeah.
It was like a big husky, and it was it was very used to being on the road and then in its crate for a long time.
Yep.
Because it was very content with its life at Buckeye.
That was like 2017, 2018.
It was pretty recent.
I think it was a little before then, but
yeah, that was some time. I remember. Vaguely remember it.
I thought
Jim's,
Jim's
question about international people. I remember there was a year there we had 3 guys there from Japan, and I took them out. We played frisbee golf, and they'd never thrown a Frisbee before. And they were throwing it into the wind, and it would go 10 feet behind them every time they threw it. It was.
Were you near the breezeway?
Yeah, well, we were out that area. But every time they throw it into the wind, and they'd go. They couldn't figure out what was going behind them.
One of those had been a 4-H Labo exchange student with my brother-in-law. So he came over and reconnected with him that evening.
Well, they had a blast. By the time we figured it out, it was great.
One of the Barry questions that did not make the trivia list was what happened on the deck at Pilgrim Hills. But I was afraid there would be too many answers to that question. Maybe stories we've never heard, right?
You mean the time when we sank it?
I don't know which story Barry was thinking of.
That is the one I was thinking of.
That's the sank it about 6 inches. We talked about that last night.
Yes, we did.
Because at Pilgrim Hills, I don't want to say we were less responsible. It was a different time. And anyway, we did not have a structured bedtime back then.
Oh, God, no.
So
You can sleep when you go home.
The program would adjourn, and we would gather by the
fireplace.
Yeah, it was a, what do you call it?
The lodge.
It wasn't quite a fireplace. It was the.
It was a hearth.
Multi-purpose.
Yeah. And folks would gather there and sing, kind of like we do now in the craft hall, but there was just this one spot. So whoever wanted to join was in that one spot. And sometimes it would go till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
At least.
Before it ended. And people would stagger in the mud and the dark back to their cabins to try to get up in the morning. And that happened pretty much every night.
Yes, it did.
Talk about lack of sleep.
Oh, my.
By about the 3rd or 4th day, many people were running on less than an hour or 2 of sleep a night from storytelling and singing most of the night.
That reminds me of Chuck Gregory's The Frog Song. Remember that thing?
Yeah. Way down, yeah.
Oh, my Lord. And that was a command performance once a week. He'd do the Frog Song, and everybody would show up for it because they'd hear about it. The women would come and see the frog, and the Frisbees would come, and what else would all? Oh my Lord! It went on forever.
Way down south on the Yankee, where the bullfrogs jump from bank to bank.
Bank to bank. Yep, that's the one.
I remember a lot of Tom McConaughey classics that I think I could still remember the words to.
Preacher and the Bear and.
You gotta have skin.
You gotta have skin, yeah.
Put another log on the fire.
You could eat dog food.
Put another log on the fire.
I took Bob Kyle during the Knoxville World Fair down to the Ocoee River, and Chuck Gregory came out with a brand new raft, and I didn't know it at the time, but Bob Kyle didn't swim. So he's like, stepping gingerly into this raft, and he said, well, I want to get my feet wet, and I thought, we're going whitewater rafting, buddy. By the first thing I look back after the first series of rapids, Bob's in the back, big smile on his face, totally soaking wet. We had a great day.
We did that with him too one time. Went down the river that goes right down through the middle of Chattanooga, I think, or what town was that?
I was on the Ocoee with him. That's in western North Carolina.
Oh, okay. This was on the river right there in where he lived in Atlanta somewhere.
Remember the skit with Dorothy Mengert and That's What Killed the Dog?
Oh, my Lord.
That's what killed the dog.
Wow. Anybody have that?
The burnt horse meat.
Yeah. That's what
Tom
killed
sang
the
a lot
dog.
of funny songs, but then he sang He's Alive, and he would just throw another piece out. What a range that guy had. Just really fun.
And still singing.
Tom does some YouTube videos, like in the morning, sometimes on Sunday morning, he'll do a song and I'll play them.
Yeah.
Christy was talking about being up late night at Pilgrim Hills. I think one of the most vivid memories I have of a last night at Pilgrim Hills, we'd been up late. I mean, it was probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning before we had gone to bed that night. And when overnight, in just that few hours between the time that we really went to bed and we got up in the morning, it snowed. And there was like at least an inch of snow on everything. It just looked like everything was frosted. And when you stood like at that back deck and looked out across the hill, you could see the cross from Vesper Hill all outlined in snow. It was one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen.
It was half the year. It was for 4 days. It was sunny and bright. We were running around outside in t-shirts and shorts. And then the last day it snowed.
Yeah. It was so unexpected. None of us expected it.
There have been multiple days like that at Buckeye. I can remember.
What was the young man's name that told the story of the Rendersell and the Pransome Hens? How many remember that one? Remember that one, Barry?
Yeah, I do remember the story.
What was his name?
Was it Tim Glover?
No, it wasn't Tim.
David Greer does that one too. And he's been to Buckeye.
Huh.
Gosh, what was that boy's name? That just struck me. Gosh, he was really good at it.
Other memorable things about Pilgrim Hills, just so that all of you that joined us at RU will realize no love is lost, is no electricity. Okay, we were not allowed to use electricity for the most part. I mean, we had electrical lights, but you weren't allowed to plug anything in.
That's why.
That's right.
No hair dryers, no curling irons.
No hair dryers.
I had a butane curling iron.
We did. Yeah. We bought butane curling
iron. So did Christy's sister,
Julie.
She called it the Wonder
Still got one in my truck.
That sounds like a fire hazard.
It's crazy.
It was. It still is.
And the paths to the cabins, I remember to this day, were dirt. And of course, in March, they were mud and they weren't lit. And literally, when we got done with evening program in the one and only building for the most part that we all spent our time in, it was a dicey proposition to get back to the cabins. The other thing I remember so much about Pilgrim Hills was running that darn floor cleaner.
Oh, that's
remember
right.
That? We all sort of stood up, held onto our chairs, and somebody drove the floor cleaner back and forth because we tracked in so bad.
Oh,
I marvel the fact that we did a workshop. I mean, and it was great. It was all good, you know.
If we didn't do that on the floors, though, if we went to dancing, it was like a cloud of dust in that dining hall, in that lodge there where we did the dancing. You get people dancing in there and the dust just flew everywhere.
John, you got excited one time and about some owl pellets you found out in the woods. So we all went out there and you were showing everybody these owl pellets. And just quiet as can be, this giant wingspan owl just went swoop right over the top of us. It just took our breath away. It's like, well, there's probably an owl nearby here. And right then on cue, this thing came out of the tree, scared them, but Jesus out of us.
Well, didn't somebody put owl pellets on the menu board the following night or something because John was so excited?
No, that could never happen at Buckeye.
No.
I will say, along the same lines of Pilgrim Hills and its more rustic accommodations, I don't know if this was in Helen's interview or in our discussion afterwards, but one of her favorite parts was Karen Saker doing a intro during the very first night of short showers. And it was such a big thing for her, at least.
Yeah, because you did not have unlimited hot water. It was very, very brief.
Yeah. First year I taught a session at Pilgrim Hills. I was in the room. My room to teach in was where they stored the canoes, life vests, and kayaks.
I know where that room is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Under the fellowship hall.
Yep,
it was a storage room.
House.
It was a good storage room. And that's where we were so short of space to do anything, particularly like breakout kind of sessions. There was really only one good classroom, and Edith taught jointed teddy bears in it next door. And
the,
Edie Kinsbatter taught basketry up on the hill. I think the spot that Barry's thinking of where he made that wood carving. She taught basketry for several years.
Oh, up in the office.
Yeah.
I've got a Pilgrim Hills, memory. It was used to be called Morning Meditations, but it was one of the first real big excitement ones with Paul Lintern and with his with our Think Together group. Paul was my first Think Together leader, and we had kazoos. I had a trombone. We had music. It was loud and it was fun.
I had Bill Henderson and Martha Hampton in my first Think Together group.
So, Chrissy, weren't you talking about the guys with the sticks and the no shirts and that? I don't know if you can see this. I finally found the pictures I was looking for.
Yes, that's the one.
Oh my gosh, that's it.
That's the one.
Yes. Maori warriors.
I have it labeled the Samoan Native Warrior Dance.
Yes.
What they call it.
Highly politically incorrect today, but gosh, it was fun.
But it was funny as heck.
One of my favorite memories at Pilgrim Hills was, I think it was Tony Miller. He was on his committee for a year or two, and he challenged, dueling banjos, but they were clogging. He challenged Bill Alkire to a clogging dance. And Bill really, he was amazing what he could do.
I have a Jim and Linda Disler story. Probably a couple months ago, I was heading back from Akron, and there'd been an article in our newspaper recently that she was mentioned in it, and it gave me an address of where she lived. So I said, okay, I'm just going to stop and find them. And they were both great, good condition, and it's I think Methodist, but it's like a living village not too far from Canal Fulton where they were. It was so fun to stop and see them. I just knocked on the door and they were all excited to see me. And I said, hey, you guys talking with your masks on? No, come on in. It was so good to see them again.
Wow.
They're both doing really good.
Oh, that's great. They were super. They did everything they could to make that habitable for us. It was just between the electricity and the mud pads and the and the limited space. Why
we truly outgrew the place, but it was good while we were there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the lady that was a teacher out at Ohio State University at Lima campus, and I just can't bring her name back into my mind, but she came to Buckeye with me over at Pilgrim Hills, and we tuned pop bottles in the bathtub.
Oh, yes.
And then we had a pop bottle band.
Yep, bottle bands.
That was awesome.
We did that more than once, but I remember sitting on the side of the tub, and we had the water running in the tub, and we'd listen to it as the pitch rose in the bottle, and we'd jerk it off, then we'd blow it and tune it in that way. We did a whole rack of bottles to do the pop bottle band. But everybody, most of the people that were there at the workshop got to play bottles. So we had music on a big long sheet, and we had to have two people directing because they had to run from one end of the sheet to the other to get back.
They held it out in front of the. I remember that. Jeez.
I see Larry.
That's where we first set that Devil's Triangle up too, out there in the trees out in front of the, just down the hill over the hill from the lodge.
Yep.
I was going to comment, Larry. I see Larry's back, so I got to tell a story on him, and it's a good story. Carol and I both. I don't know how many years he bugged us because we were on committee for the 4-H annual thing, the conference, and I don't know how many years he'd been after us to come to Buckeye. Both of us knew it as rec when we were the age that we could have come, when he was a lot younger. but was busy with other things. So I think Larry must have been at Douglas for probably 5, 6 years. And my wife just went back, and 09 was our first year there. But so thanks again, Larry, for bringing us there.
Well, the best phone call I ever got was 2 weeks after Vincent Kerr came the first time. And he had taught us Lever, Johnny Lever. And he called me from Ireland. And he said, I'm just so excited. I've got to tell you, I was asked by a local vicar to go to a community choir practice. And he said they were, you know, not in sync. You could cut the tension with a knife. And he said, they turned to me and they said, what do you think? And he said, I taught them, I've got peace like a river. And I watched the atmosphere change. And this is after he taught us Lever, Johnny Lever. So he said, I just have to call you and tell you that something I learned at Buckeye Leadership Workshop is making a positive difference in Dublin, Ireland. And chills ran down my spine.
Guess so.
First year. What year was his first year?
It was in the 90s. My first year was 94.
We were at Pilgrim Hills.
Last year at Buckeye was 2004, because that was the year I could only come for auction night because I was in the hospital and the nursing home.
Yeah, it was at Rec Unlimited where he came the first time.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there his last year.
I'm almost positive it was 2004.
He was there, I think, twice in my timeline, and my first year was 05.
Was our first year the same, Ted? Or you come before me?
I think I was 1 year before you, because the picture tonight for the trivia was my first year, and I think you said you weren't there yet.
Yeah, no. Okay.
And I think that was the last year that we did the like scaffolding trailer photo.
Yeah, because we did it the next year. We were all on, God, I can find that. We were all on that hill.
This is our
The
Buckeye.
way this could be, oh, it's awful. It's a good picture.
I've got all those pictures from 72 on in that historical book. Every group picture all the way through.
Wow.
It'd be nice to post that on the website.
Oh my.
You could flip through it.
We could easily scan those and post them. Wouldn't be hard to do.
Huh. Well, if anybody wants to use it, they're more than welcome to do that. But I'm pretty sure I got every single picture all the way through from 72 on.
One thing that we've not done in a bit that we should probably start doing again is all of our committee photos afterwards. We're always like, okay, we got the photo done. Now we got to go teach this.
Yeah. I did find a few of those that are really interesting too, from way back.
We used to have somebody on the roof at Pilgrim Hills.
All intern.
That took the picture. We were down below and he was up on the roof and took down.
We held a big mirror so he would be in the picture.
That's right.
We held it, and he would tell us how to tilt the mirror so that he could see himself. So he'd see himself in the picture when he took the picture. I used that at 4-H camp for years. Because when we stopped using hold it guy, we started doing that at camp. I stood on the roof at the rec hall at Camp Ohio and took a picture of everybody. I had somebody holding that mirror and getting me in the picture that way.
Yeah, Carlin Hoover. Photographers.
So talking stories, John, what year was it that the PA system was blown out from the Birdie song?
I have no idea. Know nothing about it.
Uh-huh. Was that at RU?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't know anything about it.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. I don't know if most PA systems have a FARC setting.
Well, that was back when you could get on the phone there in the boys' cabin and sing the song, and if you dialed a certain number, you could reach every cabin on the grounds, or it was kind of like a intercom thing for the whole camp. Yeah, if you dialed a certain number, it would connect with all the buildings. So I'd get up at 6 o'clock and sing the birdie song.
I got to feed baby goats at 9. I'll see you all tomorrow night.
See you, Christy.
Hey,
Good job, girl.
Take care,
See ya
Christy.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye now.
Christy was talking about how there's late nights that used to be at Pilgrim Hills. Well, there still are at RU.
Not as late as those were, though.
Oh, God.
I bet so.
You think? Oh, depends on where you are, probably.
Yeah. We played board games till 3:34.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's in the dining hall, right? Where you guys play games?
Nope. Since the new addition to the cabins with the like little entryway that's
the double doors.
Yeah, the double door.
Yeah.
We've been out there, and someone opens the door, it's shh, shh, shh. Okay. now we can talk again, and then somebody will yell and we're like, hey, hold up.
Right.
So that means it's just boys, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know.
because Sammy found out that we did it and was super jealous that she's like, well, I have a lot of board games here. Why don't we do that? Well, just start doing that.
We're doing it at the girls' now, Sammy.
Okay.
You
I
guys,
will take requests of what games that you want, so I make sure that they don't borrow them from me.
Oh.
I think we've got duplicates.
We've got duplicates of a lot.
Yeah.
You could bring a deck of cards and I'd be happy. I've managed to.
I do not own a deck of cards.
Guy who's not a big fan of games. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? That should have been like my first "Do you want to date me?" question. Do you like games?
Well, we knew each other previously, but we actually when we re-met at a board game convention, and that's when we started dating. Had nothing to do with all of the years of Buckeye and Super Camp and the many other interactions we had together. Board game convention.
All right. Speaking of, my husband left for the weekend for his birthday, went to Georgia. So, but he's calling me, and if I don't answer, he's going to freak out. So I'm going to hang up. Good to see everyone. See you tomorrow.
Bye,
Mary.
Bye.
Hey, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Bye.
Yeah, I think our late night gaming started with Rod and I trying to get anybody we could to play euchre. And I remember my first year, there was like a poker game, but we were using like starbursts. So then the second year I was all excited because I brought a poker set, and then we never used it.
Starbursts are way better. It's Skittles.
Yeah, but it's hard to stay in the hand when you've eaten all of your money.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be really fun to have like a 2 or 3 day long D&D campaign at Buckeye, but that's just me.
Yeah, actually a friend of mine does that. There's a convention that they go like camping in a woods, and you play a character, like the same character through multiple different settings. And then the next year, it's a continuation of the campaign and that character. And you can always add a new one if you'd like to swap it out, but it's like a full weekend thing. It's not LARPing, but it's as close as you get to LARPing.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be an interesting 4 to 5 arc. Even if it's just like a 4-part 1 hour session thing.
Or at least teaching people how to make like D&D characters, because that can be just like super complicated.
Yeah. And for sure, supply pre-gens.
Yeah.
You can fill this bookshelf with the books that it takes sometimes.
Yeah.
for those of you not in the nerd world, making a D&D character for a good one is similar to writing like a 10-page research paper.
Yeah. Except it's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, there's some interesting research papers.
There are, but still, that they're kind of few and far between.
You just gotta find the right ones.
Yeah. I guess we already lost Jim Kane, didn't we? I found this one picture of, we were in Think Together group together one year, and we decided to do our group picture in the shower.
Oh wow!
It was kind of fun, you know. I was hoping I could show it to him, but he logged off too early.
What led to that?
I think we wanted to take a picture, and we just said, well, where should we do it? And I don't remember if it was Jim who came up with it or what, but somebody said, well, why don't we go do it in the shower? That's just Buckeye. That's
yeah.
cool.
Well, yeah, think together groups were in the cabins back then, because that's the only place we had to separate out in that many groups.
Still are, yeah. Some of them still meet out in the lobby, because I think
It's an awesome place to sing too.
Yeah.
Singing in the shower.
Our song leading classes often went into the shower.
Oh.
Fun times.
Fun times.